uh, Albany State was, you know, when you're in a college town, your aspirations are to always go to college. And I never basically, and to tell you the truth, when I was a young person, it was all about home and about people you knew and stuff like that. And all of and the majority of my classmates were going all over the state. And that's a great opportunity to have college in your hometown. And in my family, we're gonna go to Albany State or the Fort Valley State one, because you see, my mother and her two sisters, because them being reared in Mitchell County, they had gone to Fort Valley, you know, when Fort Valley was a normal school, because there wasn't a high school in Mitchell County. And my grandfather had two sisters that lived in Fort Valley, and that's where my mother and her sisters went to school, and that's where they went from school to college. As a matter of fact, my aunt that lives in Mitchell County now, she used to babysit Julian Bond when Dr. Horace Mann Bond was president of Fort Valley State. And you see, so it was either or, and my Aunt Susie, my grandfather's sister that lived in Fort Valley, did nobody want to stay with Aunt Susie. Aunt Susie was so strict. So so as far as me and Charles, my older brother, was concerned, it was Albany State. My mom and daddy told me not to march. I was forbidden to march. I wasn't supposed to be involved. They finally relented and told me I could go to the mass meeting. That's because, you know, my mom wanted us to be exposed. My dad didn't want us to go to the mass meeting, but she wanted us to be exposed and stuff like that. So we were able to go to the mass meeting, but we wasn't supposed to take part in any demonstration or anything like that. They didn't want us to be subjected to any white folks doing that to us. So, and that was orders from my granddaddy too. You know, don't let my granddaddy get involved, because any of them crackers do something to him, I'm going to jail. Okay. And you know, that's the way the movement really kind of started, based on the relationships that already existed in the community, within and amongst the black folk in the community. You know, for a while things started to build up. Then SNCC got a real presence in Albany. They got was it Charles Jones, Sherrod, Cordell Regan, and James Farmer, and the things really started to heat up then, you know, and that's how we really, you know, got, and in several little instances leading up to that, like the thing about the going down to register to vote when you turn 18 and all that kind of stuff like that, and what we did when we were in high school, and some things that had happened before then. So by then, you know, it became a real big deal with me. The idea that everybody ought to have the same opportunities as anybody else to, you know, be able to be anything they want to be. And having, again, those good teachers like Ms. Ollie Rogers and Barbara Darden and all those folks that not only taught us about the Constitution, we didn't just read the Constitution and just read the Declaration of Independence. We were taught what it meant in terms of looking at what this describes in real life and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, having that background, that's, and that's another one of the reasons I think the Albany movement was basically so almost full-blown overnight, because people had been taught, they understood what the meaning of rights, equal rights was. It wasn't something that somebody told them about. On the corner, they really understood what it meant, you know. So it was, you know, it's just a background in Albany that was kind of and I think it was a unique background for black folks to come out of at that time in the South. we were basically ready for the question. We were ready to take action to get what was our just rights. And,
okay. Were you in the NAACP Youth Council?
Oh yeah, because my brother, and we used to meet at the Presbyterian Church. That was also the place where the Boy Scouts met. C.K. Smith. I mean, what was it? I can't. The Presbyterian Church was then on the corner of Mercer and Monroe. That's where we used to meet.
Now,
Mr. Chapman, he is heavily involved in the movement as well, was the advisor for the Youth Council of the NAACP.
So you were a part of that first group that was at the Trailways bus station?
Yeah.
Okay. That when Charles Sherrod, Cordell Regan came on that Trailways bus to that station, tell me about what you guys did and what happened.
Well, I don't recall a lot of what happened because what happened on there, I think, as I recall, there were two different groups of folks that went up there. And I was in class or something, but I didn't get there till the second group. And by the time the second group got there, everything had taken place, and we were being directed to march back to the church and to Mount Zion to have a mass meeting.
Okay.
And that's what the only thing I recall about what happened there. And it was one of those mass meetings that started like in, I guess started sometime in the early afternoon, like around 4 o'clock, something like that, but it lasted on into the night. And usually, if an event happened, and after the event, everybody always went back to the churches to have, and Mount Zion was on that corner, and Mount Olive, I guess it's Mount Olive.
Shiloh.
Shiloh was
okay.
Across the street, yeah, Red Boys Church.
So after that, and that was probably the one that took place at the end of November?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because there was another one.
Because we got that's when things started to happening.
Uh-huh.
And just before the Christmas holidays. And coming up to Christmas when we had the big march, we all went to jail. And I recall on the steps of Carolyn Hall, and Annette and Bobby Birch, and I can't remember who it was because now Bobby Birch was involved with the student government, and who was a family friend. He's one of my older brother's best friend. We had on the steps of Carolyn Hall, we had a meeting, and to let us know, the students know, that there was going to be a demonstration and where we needed to go to become involved in the demonstration. And that happened the morning before we went down there and got involved in the march. But we got left school because there was the end of finals that day. We left school and we went over to the church, and basically from the church, that's where the first march started. We started there, went down went down the street, turned on Jackson Street, and went straight down to Jackson to Pine, and that's where we got down there. And Pritchett said, "Halt! If you don't halt, you all be arrested." We didn't stop naturally, and that's when we got locked up.
Okay, now I'm gonna see if you remember this. When you guys were arrested by Pritchard and his men, did they put you guys in paddy wagons, or were you sometimes marched?
We didn't have to go to paddy wagon. We were arrested by Pritchard and men. We were right there on the corner by the jail.
So they walked you out
they put us in the alley, and we right in the side door of the jail, and was booked right there. We were right there at the jail.
Now with this arrest, where do they take you guys once you're arrested?
We went right into the jailhouse, There was a line. The police stood there and made us form a line. We came in the door. We were booked. And once we were booked, went right down the steps into the cells. And there was those cells. We had about 30 or 40 folk in one of those cells that was, I think, was really for holding 4 people. We just packed on top of each other in there.
How long?
And then the next day.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
The next day, we got out on buses, and we were taken to, the group I was with was taken to Camilla, Georgia. And I understand that some were taken to Sylvester and other places around there. I think Newton and other places around Albany. But we were taken to Camilla because, see, Camilla had a great big jail, and Camilla's a small town. And we were taken to Camilla, and other folks were brought to Camilla after we were locked up, because there were several other marches after the march we were in, and they were, and that's how when my older brother got to jail, he was taken to Camilla, brought down there too. So both of us were in jail together.
What are some of the things you remember about being in Camilla's jail?
All awful stuff. Like, for instance, they brought you grits and biscuits in the morning for breakfast. Sometimes a piece of fatback, and then in the for the evening meal, they bought you, I guess it was supposed to have been rice and tomatoes, but it was the gummiest stuff you ever wanted to see, and it looked like some tomatoes had been through there, but they were no longer there. And serve you the backs off bread, off white bread, and we basically were in there, and some of the older men, as a matter of fact, one of the Carnegie brothers, who is my daddy's age, and as a matter of fact, one of them, the one who was in jail with us, had been in the army with my daddy, and they had some money, so they got the money to the trustees, and the trustees, bought some food, lunch meat and stuff like that for us, and we were able to eat that, but that food was just totally unbearable.
Did they have dogs in there?
Oh, they had a couple of dogs. They on the way, this big cell we were in was kind of built like a long big cell along the wall, and there was a hallway all the way around there, and they would walk those dogs through there, through that hallway there, and used it because for some reason or another, I don't know how they thought we could get out of there, but they would ever so often walk through there with those dogs. And the other thing is, they took all the mattresses out of the cells, and so you would be on that steel, and then finally they put them back in, but you didn't want to lay on because they were so dirty. But you at least had something soft to sit on, sitting on that steel there. But it was whatever they could do to make it as uncomfortable as possible for you.
Was that about the singing more than anything? That's why they took those mattresses, because they wanted y'all to be quiet?
Well, we would never were quiet. That's what they would have done it anyway for some other reason, But we naturally sang freedom songs. That was the only way you entertain yourself, And then, but here's the most significant thing about that happened when we were in jail, locked up in Albany. That night that we spent in Albany, Dean Charles Minor, who was the dean of students at Albany State, came down to the jailhouse and basically got a list of all the Albany State students. Well, got a list of all of the people who were in jail, so he could get the Albany State students. And we didn't think anything about that. And I never thought anything about it, because I thought it was a plus. I thought what they were going to do is bail the Albany State folks out. That's what I thought. Well, That ain't what happened. They sent us a letter sometime subsequent weeks that we had been suspended indefinitely.